Hey everybody, welcome to MindMesh. My name's Jayton.
And I'm Mo.
And welcome to the podcast all about those internet rabbit holes, those weird shower thoughts you have that when you share to anyone, not just your friends or family, but the random passerbys on the street when you're talking about the random pandemic that's happening on our planet. That's this podcast. Welcome. According to our schedule, this is going to be releasing probably in about May, in all honesty, maybe late April. We switched to a bi-weekly schedule. So if you're listening to this now, yes, we ran out of our backlog. Welcome to the quarantine series. So this is like out of place if randomly in May the COVID-19 is cured. Good news for us.
Amazing.
The future is now. But if not, we're in self-quarantine. We're having a good old time. We're getting creative on how we're making these podcasts. And so we're just here. We're excited. We're happy to be alive.
Yeah, we're having fun together.
We're having fun, and this is really brought up something. This whole pandemic, acting like it's a party in a sense. This whole pandemic's really kind of changed the world in a sense. And I would kind of like to take a deeper dive into just how much it's changing things. And it might, and it's going to be interesting in the next few months, or even in the next year, if these changes set either a precedent or completely alter how we do things.
Yeah, absolutely.
The main thing that I'm talking about is just how everyone's having to move from working in an office building or working with a team to now working in the same office building or with the same team just via online resources. Like via Microsoft Teams or Skype or Zoom or Google Hangouts or
even Discord for people who are like
in the millennial gaming scene.
Yeah.
So it's one of those weird things where we're seeing this trend towards like a lot of those jobs that used to be like, oh, you can't work from home, it's impossible, to now, oh, you're now working from home and it's working better than even expected.
Yeah, and cheaper. Because you don't have to, at least for the employees.
Well, you're not having to pay the rent of the building or anything like that. It's not even that you're still paying the employees the same amount. It's like you're not having to house the employees anymore.
Yeah, I was talking about like cheaper for the employees to like, for the employees themselves. They don't have to pay for gas or anything or even, some that would have to use like public transportation.
It's one of those things where like it's aiding in those aspects that kind of hurt the individual for getting a job.
Yeah,
like it's always like you hear about those people that's like, oh, get a job, was like, well, I don't have a car type deal. It's one of those type deals where it's kind of helping those people. Like working from home like instills all these new possibilities, and then when you also think about the jobs that have low risk to infections, such as delivery drivers.
Right.
Like Domino's and Papa John's are literally announcing, which this is way in the past now, like by a month or two, or a month and a half, where they're announcing that they're hiring so many delivery drivers because that's just how the world is shifting right now. The world is shifting to a online delivery space. The Amazons of the world, or none. The Amazon is the world in a sense.
Yeah.
But it's like food delivery, like Uber Eats, Waiter, DoorDash, all of those. It's like Grubhub. Yeah, it's all those like online order delivery type solutions. That's what's becoming so popular and prevalent now because, in my opinion, the world might be shifting to it kind of is like everyone orders from Amazon now. Everyone orders online to get stuff shipped to them. Like it's the main way you get stuff delivered.
Right. It's it's going to be kind of the normal thing now as opposed to like
the one aspect that has not been taken over by that has been the food side of things, the grocery side of things. Like you always it's like, oh, I get food delivered. Yeah, that's 1 or 2 meals. We're talking about weeks worth of food getting delivered to your home.
Yeah, like I actually know a lot of people, well, not a lot.
Like, well, you think about it, like most grocery stores have the whole pickup feature now where it's like Walmart, Kroger. I actually, Walmart and Kroger are the ones prevalent in our area. So it's one of those things where like, yeah, those have pickup. You have to order and drive there and like someone literally loads it into your car for you. But then you also have Amazon there.
Yeah, it's
in like upstate New York.
Amazon Now does it.
Well, yeah, Amazon Now has like 1 to 2 hour deliveries. I've used a few of those. I'm talking what? I'm talking about. I think it's in upstate New York where they have the cashierless grocery stores.
Oh yeah. I actually walked by one of those when I was up there.
Yeah, it's not one of those like big grocery stores or anything like that. It's like one of those like pop in, pop out, like grabbing a snack or a drink type deals. It's not like full fledged. It's like, oh, I'm going in to grab a water and a bag of chips, and it charges you because it has thousands upon thousands of sensors and cameras literally watching every step that you take. Noticing what you take off the shelves, reading weight gauges that are on each of the shelves to know which item that you took and where from, so it knows and all that stuff. But then you have Amazon. Amazon has their Amazon Pantry.
Yeah.
Where you can literally order like non-perishable groceries and stuff like that.
Or even you can online. You can even do perishable groceries on there.
Well, it's kind of few and far between. It's like it's kind of limited in that sense of like you also have to take into account like how long it's going to be shipped for, what temperature it's going to be shipped at, and you also have to take into account like, oh, what if the person is at home when we deliver it? Then that perishable good is then sitting in whatever temperature the outside world is for how many hours until that person gets off.
Right.
So it's one of those things where like only certain areas are allowed perishable goods because of that factor. Like if you're in the Amazon Now region where you can get stuff delivered in an hour or two, yeah, you can probably get perishable goods because if you're ordering something to be delivered in an hour or two, that probably means you're going to be in that location in an hour or two.
Yeah, because I've done Amazon Now one time and it was back my freshman year and I was like, yeah, I need some stuff. And they do like at the time they did have a minimum and I ordered frozen chicken because why not? I liked frozen. I wanted frozen chicken, so I got some.
I love eating raw frozen chicken too, dude.
All right, look.
Wait, was it like Tyson frozen chicken?
It was.
I thought you were just straight up talking like I got some raw frozen chicken breast, man.
No.
Just straight up threw those in a blender, made some nice ice cubes, poured it in my cocktail. Man, delicious.
No,
straight up. Got the avian flu.
No, I ordered that and I'm like, oh. I saw it on there. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I didn't know they could do that. And I was wondering how they would. And when it came in, they literally had like ice packs in these like insulated little packages.
Yeah.
And I was really like, I was shocked because I didn't know that they did stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's in certain areas. Yeah, so that makes sense.
I haven't even ever used Amazon Now. My friend used Amazon Now because he was doing like an arts project and he needed hot glue and they ran out. So they ordered like a pack of 100 hot glue sticks. And it came in literally an hour.
Jeez.
Just straight up got delivered to our. It wasn't even because the thing is that in our college you can't get packages delivered straight to your door. You can only get them delivered to the main building.
Right.
But with Amazon Now, they aren't delivered via USPS, UPS, FedEx
it's
drivers.
It's one of the drivers, like an Amazon driver.
It's an Amazon driver, a la like Domino's delivery type deal. Like straight up, it's like an Amazon delivery boy.
Yeah, he literally will like.
Except instead of riding a bike, he drives a car.
Yeah, they'll literally like call you and be like, "Hey, I'm outside where you told me to be. Yeah. Come out and grab this."
Yeah, no. So it's one of those things like we're seeing this like unprecedented change to almost a fully online space, especially in like the school space.
Yeah,
like it's one of those things. Like the two main, the entirety of the workforce is being affected by this situation. But for me, the ones that are being affected the most are the school system.
Right. Yeah.
The school system is having to like yes, there are certain colleges that allow you to get online degrees and stuff like that. But this is a complete shift where everyone is going online.
And they have to. And like some colleges are literally required to, like ours.
Yeah, no. So it's one of those things where we're seeing such a shift, and I think we're going to see this shift, and I'm wondering how much of it is going to shift back to the norm.
Right.
Because there are like, and I'm not trying to like belittle anyone or go into anything, but this is truly my opinion, that there are just some degrees where you really don't have to go and sit in an lecture class. Like, yeah, some people learn better that way, and that's why those systems are implemented. It's just learning wise, you learn more being in a physical space, listening to someone speak, seeing examples, rather than being in an online chat room or doing online courses that are just sent to you via email. Like, some people just learn better that way. But like for us in our field, or like a technical field, like a mechanics field or a technical job,
any kind of hands-on thing. Like you have nursing students, you have theater students, music students, anything like that like they require
literally anything that either like like as you said, like a creative or a medical field, like those both require hand-on experiences, but also anyone that goes to a technical college.
True. That is another thing that I hadn't even thought about that even.
Yeah, like technical colleges, like if they go online, it's just, that hurts them in the long run. Same as us, same as anyone in the medical field. Like there are certain aspects to it that like hurt people that have like those hands-on jobs. But when you're also talking about people that are getting like degrees in like science and math or computer sciences, anything in that kind of like philosophical, not philosophical, but like that scientific like realm where it's all just like
theoretical.
Yeah, theoretical realm. It's one of those things where like online courses are honestly probably your best option.
Seriously, yeah. Like the only scientific type thing you'd really need to be in person is a lab type class.
Which gets more into like the medical side of things.
Exactly.
In a sense.
In a sense,
Once again, disclaimer, we're going to be, we're the bullshit that comes out of our mouths, don't take them with a grain of salt. We're literally talking out of our ass in most
senses, yeah.
Yeah, most senses. So it's one of those things where my main point is we're seeing this giant shift towards online. And I'm wondering how much of the world is going to shift back to where we were.
Yeah, like I can see a lot of it shifting back just because it's been the norm for so long, and a lot of
and everyone wants to go back to that normalcy, but
Right.
it's also like it's one of those things where when we have such a pandemic, like literally the last pandemic like this wasn't happening in modern time. It was not happening in the modern world in a sense. So for me, it's literally one of those things where now that we live in this modern world, we see this such a dynamic shift, and it's one of those things where like there are projections, there are algorithms that are saying that this sort of thing, like if it mutates, could last years.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's one of those things where we're going to be battling this until we get it to like a standstill, like we had the flu. Like the flu kills so many people per year. But it's like we're
more controlled.
Yeah, it's more controlled and it's at a standstill because yes, it's an ever evolving virus, but we're making vaccines every single year to combat the new mutations type deal. And I feel like it's one of those things where the world's gonna have to adapt to this sort of reality where we're just gonna have these superbugs that just appear, and these kind of shifts are gonna really illustrate how the world needs to change to survive in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying that like we need to all lock ourselves in our rooms and only work online.
Yeah, it doesn't need to become the new normal. It just needs to become an option.
Yeah, it needs to be an option, and it's one of those things where people with autoimmune disease or people that don't typically work in the natural workspace should have.
Right.
Because I think of all those people that literally like with social anxiety or literally other medical conditions that prevent them to getting a normal job, but they know that they can do said job.
Mm-hmm.
Like having the option to do it online, like just
like along lines of
it adds so much depth, and I feel like it would add so much to the workforce.
Right, absolutely, and not even with like you mentioned social anxiety. That's one thing, but even like things that less affect one person and affect others. So like people with Tourette's, even.
Yeah,
like that's something that would affect someone else's work. But if you're working in a place,
well, it's also one of those things where like nowadays, when you think about people with like those kind of ailments or whatever, it's one of those things like they're limited to the certain job. Like someone with Tourette's, of course, the people don't want them talking on the phones or anything like that because they like risk the chance that the Tourette's would act up and it would cause like this giant like PR hoopla,
or
whatever. So like people with Tourette's are kind of almost locked into jobs that are online in a sense because a hands-on job where they don't have to deal with talking to people. Like if those jobs where it's like talking to people like shifted online, I mean, once again, like that's kind of the jobs that they're limited to anyways, in a sense.
Right.
Not like it's one of those like weird gray areas at this point where it's like any job that's not hands-on, I feel like could be operated online in a sense.
True. Like, yeah.
But it's also one of those gray areas where it's like if we allow, it's one of those things that are typical like school protocol. If we let one person do it, everyone has to do it.
Yeah.
Or everyone has to have the chance to do it. And then it becomes this big uproar of like, oh, why give them special privileges when like why can't I?
Mm-hmm.
And it would just cause such this like legality battle type deal.
Yeah, it's
no, like literally any corporation or any business is just not going to want to deal with.
Yeah, it can be a big debacle, and that brings it back to like it may not become the new normal. It just can be an option.
Yeah, no,
like a very not centralized. I don't know. It can just be an option. I don't know. I don't know the word I'm even looking for.
Yeah, no, I'm like I'm in the same boat where I'm just like I see it in my head, but I don't have the knowledge and the prowess to like further examine it.
Right.
I can just see. I'm thinking of all the future movies. I'm just like, oh, everything's delivered by drones and stuff like that. It's like, oh, we're about to 3D print burgers here soon.
Jeez.
That deal.
Like,
oh, that actually raises a good point. I was when 3D printers became a huge thing, like there were like scientific firms like literally 3D printing food.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm just thinking like, how fast it's going to be a reality that McDonald's comes out with like a K-cup that you pop into your 3D printer and all of a sudden you got a Big Mac in front of you.
Oh, dude, I don't even know if I would trust that first off. Like, it's one of those things with like technology.
You trust eating McDonald's normally? Is that what you're trying to say?
Okay, true. I very rarely often eat McDonald's, but...
Okay, so what fast food chain do you eat from?
Taco Bell.
All right, so I rest my case. If you got a 3D printer with a Taco Bell K-cup,
true,
like what
I know.
It comes out with a 3D printer and you can buy a Taco Bell fucking K-cup for a Crunchwrap Supreme. Like, dude, yeah, I'm gonna trust. I would trust a 3D printer more than the people in the back making it at Taco Bell.
I don't know, because I mean, I could at least see the people.
Can you?
I mean, most of the time you can actually look back and see the people making it.
But you don't know which one's yours.
I mean, if you watch one specifically, you can sometimes tell.
Yeah, sometimes. But what if the person like in front of you or the person behind you also, and their orders a Crunchwrap Supreme, and then you see that one guy like folding them all up and like, and then let me fold up the next one. Like it's like which one of those three was just mine? It turns into that like, oh, where's the ping pong ball under all these red Solo cups?
Yeah,
type deal. It's like mix and match.
Dude, I don't know what I would even do at that point.
Yeah, I tell you what you do. You go home to your Keurig, pop in your Taco Bell K-cup, and make yourself a Crunchwrap Supreme.
Oh my god!
Want some Diablo sauce? That's an accessory. You pop it into the side, and it's just like
press it on right at the end.
Yeah, it's like a mist. instead of a sauce, it's like. It's like the frothy milk on top of a latte.
Oh, gosh.
That's what it would be like.
See, you can't even use those analogies with me because I don't drink coffee.
Me neither. I mean, I kind of drink coffee.
I don't know how any of the coffee stuff, like, I don't know the difference between a latte and a mocha. Like, I have no idea.
All I know is mocha means chocolate.
I knew that, but I don't know why. I don't know what the difference is between that and a latte. I have no idea.
Well, mocha is a flavor. Latte is a type.
Okay, good to know. Had no idea.
Well, that's just that's just using context clues. That's like, oh, I want a mocha latte. That's a chocolate latte. Mocha's an adjective. Latte's a noun.
Okay, well, I never order these things, so how would I know?
Well, that's just like asking for a spicy Crunchwrap Supreme. Spicy's an adjective to the Crunchwrap Supreme.
Okay.
Context clues, my man. That's what I'm saying. Okay, it's the English language.
Okay, you think I'm good at English? With a little dash
of French.
You think I'm great at English?
I'm not either. It's my worst subject.
The sad part is English is my best subject.
I rest my case. Court, please take him away to grammar Nazi jail.
No, please.
And with that being said, we're cutting to an ad break. See you on the other side. Look, Fish, I need to know something. I need to know. Have you heard?
Yeah.
You have?
Are
you sure?
Possibly. You can tell me though.
Have you heard of Anchor?
Like the thing that's on like boats?
No. Anchor. It's the easiest way to make a podcast. I'll let you explain. You said you knew about it.
Oh yeah. I remember now.
Okay.
It's free.
It's free?
Yeah, there's
like absolutely free. No charge.
No charge.
Uh-huh.
There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer.
Wait, phone? You can just pull out your phone
and edit your podcast right from it and
that's
record
wild.
It.
That's absolutely wild. What else does it do?
Well, you can distribute your podcast, or Anchor will distribute your podcast for you.
Where?
So It can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere else. Many more.
Wait, so like Google Podcasts and all of those, you can hear it using Anchor? Oh my, really? What else do they do?
You can make money from your own podcast with no minimum listenership.
No minimum listenership? Are you kidding
man.
me? You can just make money from making a podcast?
Yeah,
I didn't know
man.
you could do that.
It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place.
Wait, so you're telling me that if our listeners want to make a podcast, all they have to do is download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm and get started and make their own podcast?
Yes, that's all they have to do is
That's all they have to do?
the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
That's absolutely wild. What a great steal.
What a great steal.
Welcome back, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that lovely ad break that we have definitely updated since we first recorded it, and it doesn't sound like garbage. I'm going to complain about it until the day that Fisher agrees to re-record it. I've tried so hard. Every time, literally after every single podcast episode we record, I'm like, we got to re-record that. And he's always like, no, it's fine.
It's fine.
It doesn't
There's no
sound
need.
like we're like a weird bassy echo chamber or like that we were recording on completely different microphones. It's fine. But anyways, welcome back to the MindMesh podcast. I hope you enjoyed that ad. I hope you enjoyed our first topic talking about how the online world will forever be changed by this pandemic.
Yeah.
Which hopefully is better in the future. We don't know.
We have no idea. When this comes out, it may be completely different.
Yeah, but switching from sad, depressing stuff, let's get nerdy.
Yeah. So while everyone's cooped up in this this self-quarantine type deal.
we're having to find new forms of entertainment, be it video games, which fun fact, like every video game server under the sun is crashing under demand. Xbox Live has been going down. Steam's been lagging.
Yep.
Discord's been crashing. Literally, everyone is online. Everyone's trying to game. Everyone's trying to watch some movies on Netflix.
Yep.
So let's talk about those practical things you can do. Those things that are real life. Which now that I think about it, the topic we're about to talk about doesn't work because everyone's under self-quarantine by themselves.
See, no, the thing is though, it can still work because there are programs
Skype 'em.
online.
Skype 'em.
Like there are actual programs. So if you the topic we're going to be talking about is actually Dungeons and Dragons or D&D.
Yeah.
Because
Dungeons and fucking Dragos.
I love Dungeons and Dragons.
You know the difference between the different dragon types? Can you tell me?
Some of them, but not all of them. So I'm actually not going to get into that right now. But a lot of like for the past probably year and a half, I've been getting a lot more into Dungeons and Dragons just because it's a lot of like it's a way to get me more social because before I started playing, like before college and everything, I was way less social than I am now.
Your only friend was moi.
Okay, look, I had a few more, but you're not wrong.
He says a few more. He just had several photos of me that he taped up in this room that he had different names for.
Man, stop giving my secrets.
Dude, don't throw me under the bus like that, man.
But yeah, like for the past year and a half, I've gotten a lot more into it. Like my sophomore year of college, I was in like a D&D group with a couple of friends, and it was a lot of fun. So much so that I've become one of those people that hoards lots and lots of sets of dice.
You know what's funny about that is that I feel like everyone has that one thing that they collect.
Mm-hmm.
Like certain people, like I used to be in this group where they collected comic books, or people collect dice.
Mm-hmm.
I went through this weird stage where I collected Rubik's cubes. Like, like literally everyone gets into one of those certain things. Some people collect vape juices.
Oh gosh!
So I mean, everyone gets into those certain like those, I don't know what to call them.
I mean, just they're collectors.
Hobbies?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would call that a hobby.
Yeah, whatever. People always find something to collect.
Right.
People always find something to attach to, and yours just happened to be
Dice.
And which will lead further along into your life into a gambling addiction and crippling debt.
See, the thing is that like I've seen so many people online that have way more sets than I do, and I like when I show people mine that don't play D&D or anything, they're like, "Holy crap, that's a lot of dice." I only have, I think, 12 or 13 sets, and each set has like
that's not
7.
crazy.
Oh, each set has like 7 dice in it.
Yeah, that's not crazy.
It all fits.
How many
in
did
a
you say?
small
12?
12 sets, 7 pieces in each. So
12
that's about 144.
Well, no, that's 12 times 12, which is 148. If it's 12 times 7,
12 times 7
then that
is
would be like
144.
that'd be 84.
You sure?
12 times
Wait,
7?
What am I? Oh, I'm thinking 12 times 12.
I
I'm
just
sorry.
said that. I literally just said that. It was still wrong. I said 148.
I'm sorry.
Literally, that's I
But yes, 84. So
Yeah.
I have a little bit more than that because one of the sets had a few more. But it all still is in a small bag. Some
Yeah.
people have
Yes,
so
cocaine
many
also
more.
comes in a bag. Let's talk
All
about
right,
your addiction.
look.
This is an intervention.
No,
all
but
right. I invited all your friends.
but I feel like that's a lot of I've seen a lot of memes about like that's what people are turning to now is playing D&D with people
Yeah.
in this time when they're cooped in. And there are things online that people can use people can use there's a game Tabletop Simulator that has a set that has a thing for D&D.
I forget. Did they finally put in like a thing where people can't flip the table?
No, that's still in there.
Okay, I was just wondering. All I remember is that came out. I was like, oh, this is a really good idea. And then I noticed that there was like literally a button to just flip the table and completely ruin the game.
Yeah.
And it's just like our friend group. There's no way that they were just like, I'm gonna hit the X button and
Thankfully, there's
throw it
undo.
away.
Thankfully, there
Oh,
is
is there?
there
Okay.
is undo.
Thank goodness. I was about to say, I was like, if they haven't fixed those problems where
Mhm.
like anyone can just troll you, then
Yeah.
that's bedtime bears.
Yeah, but there are even other things. So like there's one thing called Roll20, which is literally just an online a D&D website that you can meet up with people and
Well,
it's
from the-
just online
the-
D&D.
The one thing I will say about D&D is that what I have noticed from the sessions that I have watched is that really, all you really need is the DM,
Mhm.
of course, all the players, and you don't have to see their faces
Nope.
because they all have their own unique characters that could not even look anything like them. So
Right.
really, when I think about it, it could be a Discord or a Skype call where everyone just has their webcam pointed at their little dice ring where they can throw it, and then the DMs is going to be, of course, all his decider die
Mhm.
and the map that they're playing on.
Yeah, the thing is, one of my favorite things, you don't even have to have that much. You can have just a text-based D&D game. Like even in Discord, people play in Discord where you have bots that say like roll this and it will roll a number for
true.
you.
Yeah.
And you don't even have to have a map. You can do a theater of the mind where it's just like, oh yeah, this person is that far away from you, this person is that far away from you, that kind of thing. Because that's how I've played my first session was all theater of the mind.
Yeah,
where I couldn't see a thing.
In our friend, some people in our, they wouldn't be able to do that.
Fair enough. I mean,
Because
there are
one
a
inch
lot
of
of
them
people.
could also be a mile. Who knows?
True. Like there are a lot of people that can't play that way. It's just like it depends on the person.
Yeah, you have to be able to like fully like it's one of those things where there are certain people that like it's in the sense of like, can you imagine a room and everything that's within it and how you would be able to move throughout it?
Right.
Like you literally have to think of like you have to be the kind of person that can literally explore a floor plan in your mind.
Mhm.
And there are some people that literally just can't comprehend that. They
Mhm.
can't think in that form or fashion type deal. Like our friend group, we absolutely love making up stories. We love coming up with these crazy zany ideas type deals. And we've literally talked about like doing like a Dungeons and Dragons-esque campaign literally based off of all the stories that we've written and just combine them all into like one giant ass timeline
Yeah.
and just doing a giant D&D session. We literally had a guy come in and was like, "Hey, I'm going to start working on that." And then he disappeared for 3 years.
Oh, that's the worst.
He might still be working on it. We don't know. That's
Who
the
knows?
thing. But it's literally one of those things where like I feel like our entire friend group would be super into it. The problem is that we'd like there's some of us like me who aren't really into like the super niche like
Mhm.
medieval fantasy type deal. Like I'm not into the whole the one thing I've ever been able to get into in that setting is Game of Thrones.
Mhm.
I wasn't a huge fan of Skyrim. I'm not a huge fan of just that medieval like dragons, fairies, like mythical magic, all that sort.
Mhm.
I'm not into that sort of that genre. So the thing is that if we ever did do it, we would have to find a very specific niche that everyone could get into.
Yeah, and that's actually one thing that that brings up. there's like an off-brand, not really off-brand, but something that someone has made that's like a more modern version of it. That's like the X-Men. It's called Mutants and Masterminds.
Well, yeah, that's what I was about to say. Is that the one D&D session that I ever sat in on or was like almost a part of was someone did a based off the anime My Hero Academia. They made an entire D&D campaign off of that. And the only reason I wasn't really I was asked to be a part of it. I was like, whatever. Was solely the fact that I knew about My Hero Academia. I had watched a few episodes, maybe a season or two, but I didn't feel like I was into it enough to be like, do I really want to warrant like 6 hours of my life every Sunday night to get into it?
True. That's understandable. And
so it's literally one of those things like if you're gonna get into D&D, the biggest thing that I have trouble getting into is not the idea of it or the aspect of it. It's literally what it's based around.
Mm-hmm.
Like if someone's like, hey, you want to do a Dungeon and Dragon session, my first thing is like, okay, what's the setting? Because I can imagine anything I fucking want to, but for me it has to be something I'm so intrigued in that I'm like, yeah, I could literally spend like 14 weekends doing this.
Yeah. That makes absolute sense, because like the last one that I played in was completely like, it was complete homebrew. Nothing was in a source book anywhere.
Yeah.
It was our DM made up this entire story, and he tailored certain aspects of the story to each of our characters.
Yeah.
Which was really interesting.
Yeah.
And he knew like what each of us liked because he'd known us for at least a year beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
So he knew what we would actually be interested in. So he based a lot of like different story arcs, because we played for probably one half semester and then a full semester after that.
Yeah.
And then we had to drop it because school, whatever, that kind of thing.
How it always goes.
Exactly.
Sorry we stopped doing this school, or sorry we stopped doing this job. I've heard it before.
Right, exactly. Things like that.
It's called the game of life. Maybe you should spin the dial and try again. But don't end up with 3 kids.
But like, there were some of our sessions that would last, like we could keep on going for like 4 hours at a time.
Yeah.
And then there's some that literally only lasted like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So like,
I mean, it's just depending on how like super in depth you want to go with it.
Exactly. And how much time we even had for it.
Yeah.
So
which is kind of spinning off this in a sense is really why I love choose your own adventure games.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of like, even if it's, as you said, text based, like it doesn't have to be crazy wild like Telltale's Wolf Among Us or The Walking Dead, Jesus, or their like Batman series, or anything. Like it doesn't have to be like a AA type game like that. Like it can be fully text. I've made a choose your own adventure style text game in a sense. So it kind of goes to that where anything you choose can become a Dungeons and Dragons game if you give the option of choice.
Right. And like, I love,
like you could literally take you could take the first Harry Potter book and turn it into a Dungeons and Dragons game where everyone gets chosen to be like a certain character, and you can completely alter the story if you give them the option of choice.
Yeah.
But then it becomes the dungeon master's choice of when do those choices be given.
Right. And that's one thing that I've been looking a lot into, because I've played for so long just as a player, and I've wanted to start getting to like the more DM space kind of thing. Because a friend of mine, he actually gave me the like for Christmas, he gave me the Stranger Things adventure set type thing, and it's literally just like it's a one shot.
Yeah.
And I wanted to play it with some of my friends up at school. And I planned on doing it before this semester ended, but we kind of see how that went around. And like I even helped one of my friends. I helped them make a character, and the other 2 that were going to play, I was going to help them make it, but the schedule never fit right until we had to leave. So that looks like it's not going to be a thing, which sucks, because that was going to be my first little dip into like DMing a D&D thing. And I still want to try it.
Not gonna lie, we're talking about D&D, we're talking about DMing, and like where I'm going with this.
Do I?
Yeah, I think so. You're smiling so big, I would expect you. I'm literally like thinking of BDSM and shit. Like,
gosh, stop.
I'm literally thinking about doming.
Oh,
I don't know. Literally, ever since I heard about DMing for D&D, whenever I hear DM, I think of dominatrix. I don't know why. It's never been dungeon. It's never been dungeon master in my mind.
Because that's not even like an abbreviation for it, as far as I know.
I know it's not, but for whatever, when I hear DM, like instantly in my mind, I'm like dominatrix. I'm just like, yeah, dominatrix is kind of a DM in a sense.
Like in certain situations.
Let me look at my book of kinks. And,
no, in certain situations, you do have like
yes,
a dungeon.
The impalement kink.
Oh my god.
The ball and chain kink. I don't know what this dragon play. Do you know what that was?
Wasn't this a different topic on a different podcast? Was BDSM?
Bro, who knows? We talked about puppy play.
Wait, what?
We're not gonna get into that.
All right, I'm okay with that.
The puppy play. We had a guest come on who wanted to talk about furries, and I pulled a fast one on him and showed them a documentary about puppy play. Which is a kink in of itself where someone acts like a dog / puppy in the relationship. It's a weird time. It's like the okay version of bestiality.
Is there an okay?
Bro, I'm just trying to make people feel better, okay? I don't know what you're looking for.
Let it be known that we do not kink shame on MindMesh.
Every time we talk about this sort of stuff, we have that disclaimer. Do your own thing. Just don't involve me unless I'm into it.
Exactly. Do you do you, I do me, and neither of us do each other. Probably.
Wait. I'm sorry. No, my brain just tried to keep up with what you're saying, and I zoned out for literally a split second, and now I'm confused about where the math is adding up.
Do you want me to repeat it?
No, I'm okay. I'll figure it out later.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
Well, I gotta edit these episodes. I re-listen to it, so
you'll figure it out.
But anyways, back to Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes.
I don't know. It's one of those weird things where I feel like I literally can't speak upon it because I've never been into it. Yet it's one of those things where I don't even know how to explain like my viewpoint of it. Like, I think it's a cool idea. It's a cool concept and stuff like that. My hardest part has been like the hardest part I feel like it is for a lot of people trying to get into it, of just that first tipping point, that first jumping point. Right. I feel like if it's one of those things where I feel like if I ever wanted to get into Dungeons and Dragons, I would have to play the perfect game.
Right. Yeah.
Because it's one of those kind of hardships where like I'm very much a perfectionist, OCD in that sort of sense of like, if I'm ever to make something like that, it'd have to be so perfectly planned that I feel like I would never be able to actually do it. Because there would be so much uncertainty. There would always be so much like there'd always be almost that chance that a problem would arise that would completely alter or change the game in such a drastic way that I wouldn't know what to do with myself.
Right. And that's where some people bring in, like, I hate to bring up this fact because whenever someone talks about D&D, they always bring up the topic of Critical Role, which is how a lot of people get interested in D&D.
Yeah, no, nowadays,
because it's modern, so big.
Yeah, it's a modern way to get into it.
Yeah, and a lot of people bring up the perfect DM. And a lot of people either bring up Matt Mercer, who is on Critical Role. They bring up Chris Perkins, who was on Dice Camera Action, which was another really big one that was actually on the Dungeons and Dragons YouTube channel. They bring up, like, they call it the Mercer effect because people say he is like the perfect DM.
Yeah.
And he's really, really good, but he's had years and years of experience for it. And everyone at the table is such good friends with him.
Yeah. Well, that's also the big thing about D&D is that you have to almost do it with people that either have experience or are just so close that it's like you guys all vibe off of each other and all work together to make a game work.
Exactly. And that's one thing that, like, I've always had that worry about, like, trying to get into DMing because I have to pick and choose the perfect players to be like, I know that you would work well in this. I know that you wouldn't, so I'm sorry, but I can't, like, kind of thing.
Yeah, and you gotta look through your kink book.
Stop that. But like, but really,
I completely that's literally the thing that's keeping me out the most of even just playing a game is because literally there were certain sessions that I like I sat in on. I wasn't even part of the game. I just sat in the background and like something would happen and I would point out just a very like small, minute logistical flaw that would completely change the like that would if they actually implement it would completely change what was happening.
Right.
And like I would look at the DM and be like, hey, didn't this like thing supposed to happen at this point?
Mm-hmm.
And it was literally one of those things where everyone's like, yeah, that was a thing. And then the DM would just like look at me and be like, yeah, I made a mistake.
Be like, oh, I hate you so much right now.
Yeah, it was just like, oh yeah, I made a mistake. That's not a thing anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just one of those things where it's like, for me, I feel like I could never get into it because it would have to be so perfect.
Mm-hmm.
You would almost have to do like a magician's role of convincing everyone that they have a choice without letting them have
giving
a
them have a choice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those weird like aspects to it where I feel like things can get so crazy and outrully that I could never get into it.
Mm-hmm. And that again, it depends on like one, the DM, and two, the like everything depends on the DM and the players.
Yeah, it's the dynamic that
Mm-hmm.
arises from that.
Because you have to, one, the DM has to create such a story that the players, one, want to try and follow,
Yeah.
and two, that the players like will trust in the DM to like make a story that they'll be interested in.
Yeah, no, exactly.
So like,
exactly.
and it's such a weird balance that they try and find. And again, like with Matt Mercer and everything, even he has admitted like, oh yeah, I've made mistakes on like a live stream or a live show that they've been in.
It's
like
the
in
way
a
of how
theater.
you handle those mistakes.
Exactly. Like he will fully admit sometimes like, I forgot about that, or just like, that's not how I expected that to go kind of thing. And he is, and somehow, like the thing that throws a lot of people off is he still somehow, it looks like he's fully prepared for every situation.
Yeah, it makes it work.
And that's what's thrown me off. I'm like, how do I prepare for every little minute little detail that they may focus on?
No, yeah.
It's so weird, but I still love it nonetheless. It's so creative and I love it.
Yeah. Well, that being said, I think we really dived into what makes us both either want to join D&D but prevents us from joining D&D, and what made us join D&D and made them still into D&D.
Yeah.
My name's Chayton.
And I'm Mo.
And thank you so much for listening to the MindMesh podcast. Of course, you can catch us, I'm going to say it like I'm always going to say it, because it's just like, I'm going to add like a quick little, those like medical jargon disclaimers at the end where I speak really fast. You can join us every Monday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time on your favorite podcast platforms, and every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time on the MindMesh YouTube channel. Disclaimer, during the quarantine of the coronavirus, you can join us bi-weekly every Monday and Wednesday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. Yeah. I don't know where that will go. Bro, I'm getting out of here. See you later.
Bye.